Hey, all right. I'm excited about today's conversation. It's going to be good. It's going to be good, 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 good. Good, 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 good. Hey, 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 hey. All right, let's see. I want to make sure that you go ahead and share this feed. Excited you guys are getting on. We have a great conversation today. Hello, hello, hello. Excited you guys are getting on today. We're going to have a great conversation. I'm excited about you getting on. Thanks for jumping on. Go ahead and share this feed with someone else, okay? So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so Father, we bless you. We thank you. We honor you. For this is the day, Lord, that you have made, God, and we rejoice and are glad in it. We thank you, Lord, so much for your goodness and your mercy. We thank you for your focus. We thank you for clear direction and clear instruction. I thank you, Lord, that all that we put our hands to, it shall prosper and be of good success. Now, Lord, I thank you for the anointing and the boldness and the courage to implement and execute those things that we are learning and those things that we have heard. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. All right, listen, I'm excited. Today is February 24th. Can you believe we're about to go into the very last month of the first quarter? That part right there. So the last month of the first quarter. So things are moving. Time, one thing about it, time is not waiting for anybody. Time is not waiting for you. It's not waiting for me. And so how we spend our hours, how we spend our days, how we spend our months are very, very, very important, Charlene. They're extremely important, that we are on track. And again, looking at the big picture, not getting stuck in whatever temporary challenges you might be facing right now. I want you to remember that they're temporary. Whatever the challenge is that you're dealing with right now, it is temporary. And that I want you to keep your mind on the bigger picture, right? The bigger vision. Like, why did I decide to get into real estate? Why am I investing in real estate? Why did I do this? What was my end goal? And then taking time to imagine the perfect outcome. This is the perfect outcome. Even though that there are challenges, because the reality is there is no success in anything without challenges. But the key is to not get stuck on whatever those temporary challenges are, but to stay focused on what the big goal is and why did I get started here anyway? And what was I endeavoring to accomplish? That whole thing. So that's really, really important. So that's the first thing that I want to say. So if you would, for me right now, just put in the comments, I'm focused on the big vision. Put that in the comments right now. I'm focused on the big vision, right? Now, one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about real estate, and I got some exciting things coming up that I'm going to be able to share with you all. But one of the reasons that I'm so excited about real estate is that it is an asset class that is very, very sustainable. And it's an asset class that many of the wealthy have invested in over the years. And it's just very sustainable. It produces. It's not as fast as things like cryptocurrency or maybe even the stock market. And I like the stock market and I like cryptocurrency. But of course, they have big highs and big lows. And so even if real estate is in pullback, it's still overall just is very sustainable and very, very bullish. And so I believe that everybody that has any interest in investing in real estate that you should, or any interest in developing wealth, you should definitely be looking at real estate as one of those asset classes that you have dominant in your portfolio, right? Dominant. I would say 50% of your portfolio, I would recommend, is in real estate. 50, even 70%, 50 to 70% in real estate, I think is very, very healthy. And I think in the long game, you're going to be really, really glad that you did that. One of the things that I want you to understand that right now there's a lot of fear happening. We saw the Dow Jones take a huge hit last Friday. It was one of the lowest in years. I mean, just absolute years. And I think some of that, what we're seeing is because you have companies like Target and Walmart, that many of us are not participating in purchasing anything there. And so they have been, I mean, their sales and their volume has just been plummeting, which has had a ripple effect on the market, the stock market across the board. That doesn't scare me because that just basically speaks to opportunity. Remember, anytime you see economic crisis, you also have an opportunity for economic opportunity as well. And then, of course, you saw Bitcoin reach highs of 109,000, and then we've seen a pullback on it for about 98,000, 99,000. Same thing with Ripple. Ripple really took off. We see a pullback. I'm really still in favor of the stock market, and particularly AI, particular companies in AI. I think this is just a buying season. Crypto, I'm still favorable on crypto, and particularly Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple, I think are just mainstays that you should be continuing to buy. And then, of course, real estate. And so one of the things that we're going to be examining today is looking at the overall real estate market and looking at the possibilities of what can happen. Now, when you just look at buy and flips, because buy and flips is a good way to hit a lick, okay? To hit a lick. I want you guys to put in the comments right now, I'm focused on the big vision. Come on, put that in the comments for me. I'm focused on the big vision. I want you to say that I'm focused on the big vision, okay? And so anyway, we see, we see right now, of course, the Dow Jones at an all-time low right now, which again, I think is great opportunity to start buying. And then real estate right now, we see is just kind of holding steady. We've been waiting to see what happens, Sushi, with interest rates, if they're going to come down or not, which I believe they are going to come down a little bit, but we're kind of waiting and watching there. But this is actually an opportunity. This is a great opportunity when people are feeling afraid, when people are kind of feeling scared and they're not really sure what to do. Those are actually the best times to participate in the asset classes where there is uncertainty, right? Because one thing that I am very certain about is that the stock market is not going to go away. Real estate is definitely not going away. Cryptocurrency is not going away. And so I'm going to talk to you specifically more about real estate right now. And while people are afraid, job cuts, DI contracts, and I'm praying for those people that have been impacted by that God would help them to pivot. If you've been impacted by that, I want you to know that there's always an answer. There's always an answer. Can you put that in the chat right now? That there is always an answer. And that's the thing that I want everybody to know. I don't care what's going on. I don't care how big the crisis looks like it may be. There's always an answer. Now, it might take you pivoting. It might take you making a different choice, making different decisions, but there is always an answer. And one of the things that we're going to be talking about today, Sushi, is buying and holding, okay? Everybody put in the comments right now, there's always an answer. And buying and holding. I want you really, really to consider buying and holding more than you even buying and flipping. I like buying and flips. As a matter of fact, I got a great buy and flip today, Robert, that the numbers are just phenomenal. It's like 165, and the ARV, which is the after repair value, I think is right around 260, 270. So a person, and the rehab is like 40,000. So a person has the possibility of making anywhere between $60,000 and $100,000, which is absolutely amazing, right? Those numbers are really, really strong. But I really want you to consider now more so buying and holding. Why? Because when you hold, you have the opportunity to have wealth put on automation, where that's wealth, that those rental income is coming in every single month. Hey, Felicia, miss you, girl. Hope to see you Friday. But every single month, that rental income is coming in, right? And so that's where I want you to really put your focus. And we're going to be looking at the cap rate. What is the cap rate? The cap rate is how much money that particular property is going to bring in every single month. okay, or by the year. And of course, we break it down by the month. And so this is where I really want you to get good at this. If you can, get a pen and a paper. I want you to write these numbers down with us, because I want you, as a savvy investor, I want you to learn how to pay attention to the numbers. What's a good deal? What's maybe not a good deal? What's a deal that you absolutely cannot walk away from? Because the more you do buy and holds, your portfolio is going to start to grow. Hey, Chris, what's going on, brother?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Good.
Okay, so I'm excited to get on here and crunch these numbers with you. I've been working with Chris, everybody, for the last couple of years. And we've done a lot of business together over the last couple of years, made a lot of money together over the last couple of years. And so I want you guys, especially as we're getting ready to go into the last month of the first quarter, I want you to seriously consider starting. I promise you, you got to start. You can sit back and you can say, I'm waiting for the perfect time. There is no perfect time. Don't get caught up with all the noise. Shut down all the noise and focus on investing. And you might say, I don't have a lot of money to invest. I don't need you to have a lot of money. We're just going to make sure your credit is good. And then we're going to start building from there. Okay, Chris. So Chris is always scouring the market for great off-market properties. Sometimes we end up getting some on-market properties, because if it's a good deal, it's a good deal. As long as a deal is a deal, then it's a deal, right? So Chris, you were really instrumental in helping me break down and understand cap rate. I had kind of learned about it, but I can't say I really understood it to the fullness. But Chris did a great job of saying, okay, Jewel, so if we're strategic and we are looking at all your properties, and your properties are bringing in at least 8% per year, you're really going to be set up nice. Or 10% or 15%, right? Anything over 8-10%, you're really looking at a good deal. So what you got for us today, Chris?
Well, hi everybody. Glad to be joining y'all. I got two properties that are single family homes right now, but I wanted to reiterate from last week the difference in different investment tools that you can use. So I used last week an example. I did a little bit more research. We talked about CDs. CDs offer 3 to 5% limited growth potential. As rental properties, again, a tangible asset, they offer 6 to 10 or even more than that, as we'll soon find out. Another thing is mutual funds, investing in mutual funds. Well, you're subject to a volatile market and, management fees and different things of that nature. So you don't really have control of that. So when you're talking in terms of even a Roth IRA, you're limited to what you can contribute. Whereas a rental property, you have no limit. You can leverage your capital. You can adjust your rent according, because typically rent increases over time. Real estate increases over time, unless you have a situation like we had back in 9 and 10, which is, once every 50, 60 years or whatever have you. But that's why I just wanted to reiterate to everybody, if you're thinking about it and you're like, well, is that a good investment compared to the other things that we have out there, to the average person, everyday person? That's why it's important, I think, to consider investing in real estate and leaving something, to your family, if you were to, pass on or whatever have you. But okay, we're going to use an example. And a lot of times I just fly off the cuff. So I'm doing it with you guys in real time. I got a couple of properties. The reason I chose these was because they were right in the same vicinity, which some people do like. Some people prefer to be on the same side of town, or the properties be within 1 mile of each other. So I kind of took that in consideration today for today's lesson. But the first one we're going to start with, these two properties are on a street called Pelkey, Pelkey. The first one is 20227 Pelkey.
All right, I'll pull it up. And this is west side of Detroit, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. And you guys get your pen and paper so you can write this down with us so you can kind of learn how to analyze the cap rate and then just look and see, hey, is this a good deal?
And so what I'd also like to say to the community is, if you're going to do buy and holds, it's a good time to probably get them where it's plug and play, meaning they're already cash flowing. Even if they're below market rent, that's fine. If they're Section 8, you can always wait to the end of the lease and raise the rent to market rent. Or if they are month to month, you have to give them a fair amount of time to be able to. You can't take somebody from, say, $800 a month and jump them up to $1,200 a month. One, it's immoral, and two, it's against the law. But you can gradually, if they can't afford it, you can always bring somebody else in who can. So these properties, these two properties here, the other address I might mention is 19310 Pelkey.
Okay, do you want to analyze this one first, or you want me to go to the other one too?
No, let's do the 20,000 block first. I just wanted to everybody to write down the other address. Okay, so cool. They're both 3-bedroom, 1 bath, brick. The current tenants right now are paying $850. So what we're gonna do is let's look and see what's $850 times 12. That's our gross rent. Let's go over that.
Okay, you guys can see the screen, of course. Is there a lot of work to do on this house? Doesn't look like it.
Those pictures are old. Those pictures are old. Again, there's somebody in there. I'm sorry I couldn't pull them up. I didn't have time. It's more updated. I just ended another meeting and jumped on with you all.
Okay, great. So we're looking at 850 times 12?
Yes, 850 times 12, which again, for me, I keep a sheet that I've started all the way from $600 and I go all the way up to $2,000 a month. And I just do it times 12. So if I see any type of rent, I can glance over and say, okay, that one brings in X amount of dollars. In this case, $10,200. That's our gross monthly. So we got that down. Now here's the key. The taxes on this property are $1,149. Let me repeat that. The taxes on this property are $1,149.
Okay.
And keep in mind too, these people have been renting in here for a while. I think actually right around COVID. So yes, they are below market rent. Full disclosure, the market rent for this property is $1,300. Just so everybody's on that page, okay?
Wow. So it's grossly under. It's $850 now, but it should be $1,300.
Should be $1,300. And why that is, sometimes investors like to, they don't want to rock the boat if they're receiving income and it's steady. The people been in there, they take good care of the property. They'll just leave them in there, so on and so forth. And it never comes to light until they get ready to sell. So, okay. We have our taxes again, which is $1,149. So we take that and we're going to go over our insurance. So to insure a property like that, we'll just say on average, we'll just keep it a round number and say $100 a month, which puts us at $1,200 for the year.
Mm-hmm.
That $100 a month will probably get you somewhere around between $70,000 to about $85,000 in coverage, maybe $90,000 in coverage for your house. Okay. So, and the last thing is, if you're not going to self-manage, which I don't advise, you want to get a professional to do it for you, it's going to charge 10%. So at study as it is right now, we'll round it down to 80 times 12, same thing. $960.
Okay.
So again, we have our taxes, which are $1,149. We have our insurance, which we rounded off to $1,200 a year. And then we have our property management fee, which is 10% of your rental income, which would be, in this case, $960 annually.
Okay.
Okay, so now let's add all those numbers up.
So we got 10,200 for rent because it's 850 times 12. Even though, remember, it can be 1,300, but you're going to buy it cash flowing and ideally start to move them up. But that's good because, again, looking at the long game, taxes 1,149, insurance 1,200, and then the PM 960, right?
Yeah, I just want everybody to stay focused on, we know our gross. I just want everybody to add up what your total is for your expenses, meaning those three items. What do you guys come up with? Should be a little bit over $3,300.
Yeah, I got the total. Oh, okay. So I'm adding, you want me to subtract?
No, I just want you to, the easy way to do it, everyone, is add your taxes, which is $1,149, and then add your insurance, your annual insurance, which is $1,200.
Okay.
Add your property management fee, which would be 10% of the monthly gross. That comes around, we said 80, so 80 times 12 equals $960. Add those three numbers up: your taxes, your insurance, and your property management fee. These are your expenses. These are your annual expenses, excluding repairs that might come up, and we'll talk about that here in a few minutes.
Okay, so I got 11, 12, 13. I got 3,300.
That's right. $3,300. 3,309 to be exact. So
Okay.
then what we do, let's take that $3,309 and deduct it from our gross. Remember, our gross is at $10,200. Let's take it from that.
Okay. Did you give us purchase price?
Not yet.
Okay.
I thought I did, but not yet. The purchase price, just so everyone knows, is $60,000.
Okay. So you guys see on Zillow, it said 18, but these are old pictures back then. So right now it's worth 60, but it's been updated as well. And it also has a tenant. One thing to know is, as an investor, when your property has tenants in there, it is like an investor's dream. Because I love to buy property that's already cash flowing. That's like the best kind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And if you're a beginning investor, we call it plug and play. It's already cash flowing. You already don't have to go in there and do anything. It's the easiest way to begin. And just so everybody else knows too, Zillow is really about maybe 68, 69% accurate, because what happens, I've had people call me from houses that I had 4 or 5 years ago. And I'm like, no, I look at my email and I see that house was back in 2020, 2021, even before then. So, and it's all because people don't update the information, and Zillow just does the best they can just to grab all the information. So don't depend on Zillow. It can give you somewhat of an idea, but don't depend on that as being your gauge for your numbers. Mm-hmm. So anyhow, the number should be $6,891. That is our net, meaning after we pay all our bills, excluding any repairs we might, come across or might be needed. If something goes wrong with the plumbing, or you got to replace a hot water tank, or you have maintenance issue, that happens. And again, we'll address that here shortly. Okay. But your net, after all that is paid, Taxes, insurance, and property management fee is $6,891. Now, what I want you to do is take that, and I want you to take that number and divide that by the purchase price, which is $60,000. So that we're all on the same page. $6,091 divided by $60,000.
Okay. Now remember, this is how you get your cap rate. This is really important because this is how you're going to build your wealth.
Mm-hmm.
1 door at a time, 2 doors at a time, 3 doors at a time, 4 doors, 5 doors, whatever. This is how you do it. Okay.
So your cap rate should come in, if your math is correct, at 11.4, which is good when you compare to the other instruments for investing that I explained earlier: CDs, mutual funds, Roth IRA. Now remember, I want you to remember, that's 11.4 at 850.
Mm-hmm.
That number's going to change if we decide, okay, we're going to raise. Let's just try. Let's just say, okay, decide the people that are in there. You know, you tell them, okay, at the end of their lease, say their lease is up in July, August, whatever. Okay, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to, you might have to spend or invest a little money to what we call, you're going in and you're flipping a property for a new tenant. Tenant turnover is what we call it. Old tenant goes out, new tenant comes in. You might have to do some painting, touch-ups here and there, so on and so forth. Well, let's just take that in consideration. So now the number jumps from, we said $850 annually, that's $10,200 annually. Right. That's your gross. Remember, that's your gross before you count your insurance, your taxes, and your property management fee. Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and change that number. Let's say we went in there. Now we want a market renter at $1,300 a month. At $1,300 a month, your yearly annual gross is now $15,600.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I like it already.
Now here's the hook right here. So now let's take that $15,600 and now let's deduct our expenses because those aren't going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Remember? So again, take the $6,891.
Mm-hmm.
And now let's divide that as if you got a new renter in there paying $1,300. And if that is the case, now you're going to divide that number by $15,600.
Mm-hmm. So that's what the new rental income, because all
right, I made a mistake. I'm sorry, everyone. Now take that same number. Yeah, right, because your expenses are $6,891. So I want you to deduct that from the $15,600 and tell me what number you come up with. Because again, it's just a play in numbers. You're taking your gross and then you're subtracting what it costs to maintain that property, and you're deducting that, and then that gives you your net.
Okay, so let me just review. We're taking this same property if you could get the actual market rent, which is $1,300. Mm-hmm. The seller has a tenant in there right now paying $850. We did the numbers with the current rent, which can definitely be raised. At the current rent, that cap rate came out to be 11.4%. Now, Felicia, if we're able to raise that rent, do some whatever updates, whatever, let them know what's coming, $1,300 a month, you're going to multiply 1,300 times 12. Okay. Times 12 is 15,600.
Mm-hmm.
Then we take that and subtract it by the expenses.
That's correct. Which
is
$6,000. No, $3,309.
Okay, right. Okay, so 15,600 minus 3,309.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, minus 3,309. That comes to 12,291. And then we divide that by the purchase price, which is 60,000, correct?
Okay, let me start off because I think there's a confusion with the numbers. Now, I just want us to start from a clean slate. I'm gonna go over it very slow.
Okay.
Okay, so we did the numbers if the rent was $850. Now, as you said, let's act as if we went in there, we got a new renter. Now that renter is paying $1,300 a month. If that renter is paying $1,300 a month, annual gross, you're going to be at, for $1,300 a month, you're going to be at $15,600.
Right.
That is your gross before anything happens.
Right.
Right? $15,600. Now, take that 3,309, which is your taxes, your insurance, and your property management fee. Deduct that from that.
Okay.
Okay, and what do you end up with?
All right, 3,309. Okay, that comes to 12,291. So huh?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So just to review, for some of you who are just getting on here, what we're doing basically is breaking down the cap rate. This is really important because this lets you know as an investor how you're growing. Okay, how you're growing. And you want to make sure that before you buy and hold, that the cap rate is going to make sense. So basically what we're saying is we looked at the market rent for this particular property. There's already a tenant in it, which is ideal for investors to buy something already cash flowing. The whole deal just becomes a lot sweeter because when people are investing in real estate and they want to hold it, Robert, they're doing it because they want cash flow coming in every single month. They want rental income coming in every month. And how much comes in percentage-wise determines if it's a good deal or not. So what we did is we're looking at this particular property, real life scenario. If $1,300 a month was coming in on this particular property times 12, that's $15,600. The expenses for property management, insurance, and taxes comes to $3,309. So basically what you're doing now is you deducted $15,600 minus $3,309, which gives you $12,091. And then, is that right, Chris?
That is correct. Now, let's take that purchase price and divide it by that. So let's take $12,291, which is now our net after everything is paid for. We paid all our expenses, divided by 60,000.
It's a hit.
You tell me where else would you get that type of cap rate? Now remember,
20%, Chris.
Remember that. Look it up. Don't take my word for it. I just like actual factual. Look up CDs. Look up mutual funds. Look up Roth IRAs and see what kind of cap rate they get compared to this cap rate that you see right here. Now, my computer tells me 20%. But what we're going to do, because let's say we had to go in there and we did have to pay for a tenant turnover. You know, we had to fix some doors. Maybe a window was broken. We want to repaint the whole house. You know, maybe we redo the floors and carpet. And let's just say, just for the sake of conversation, we can say that, well, we did all that. At the most, it's going to cost us $4,000 to go in there and get the property rate right, because that tenant's been in there for 8 years, you know, and that's what it is. So what I'll do instead is we'll say, we'll take that same amount, our net, $12,291 divided by, let's add that 4,000 in for that tenant turnover. Let's see what we get. Divided by $64,000 instead of 60, because what we're doing is we're considering we're going to have to spend money to spruce the property up. Let's just say for the sake of conversation. See that number? It's still 19% return. Really and truly, anything over 10 to 12%, you are winning.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example of this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge. In a city where your equity is going to continue to go up because of all the revitalization, the focus, not even to mention, you get into affordable housing, there's tons of grant money that's available. So the possibilities here are so strong. And this is why I want you all to take a strong look and not just thinking about flips, but holds. And obviously, if you want to get started, I want you to send me a message, put in my messenger, invest. And this is where my focus is. Now, flips, there's still some great flips out there too. So I'm not negating that, but I'm saying when you start talking about really wanting to build wealth, imagine having this 10 years, this same house that's costing you $6,000. God only knows what it's going to be in 5 or 10 years. It could be, double, possibly even triple, right? The house we're in right now, we bought in 2007. We have actually tripled the amount that this house is now worth. So that's the beautiful thing about real estate. So now you're earning equity, and eventually you can use this equity to do another property, and the list goes on and on and on and on. So this was really good. Okay, we got another one, Chris, you want to take a look at?
Yeah, it's right down the street, and the numbers are going to be very similar, but I just wanted to point out to everybody, at this current rate, at, market rent at $15,600, if you were to have that property for 5 years, you've already paid for it. Already paid for.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, that's a lot. And I'm quite sure, I'm gonna just take a wild guess, that the rents are steadily going to go up. 2 other things to keep in mind. If you don't live here, let me let you in on a little secret. The mayor, who's been the mayor for the last, 8 years, he's now going to run for governor, which means you have other candidates that are vying for that position. The one thing that they all have in common is home ownership. They're really pushing it. They want to improve. They want to improve home ownership. They want to improve the rental quality in the city. It's a big thing. They want to improve that. So they're really pushing and giving investors, it's going to happen, you'll see, giving investors the opportunity and the chance to help bring the city back in the neighborhoods. They want to have more grocery stores, more retail spaces. So all the agendas that are coming up here in the next year are going to be pushing neighborhoods, pushing housing, rental housing, buying housing. They really want to push that agenda. So I just wanted to point that out to everybody. It's a really good time to invest. And I don't mean that just to be sounding cliche. It's just because I keep up with all this stuff, and the landscape is changing right now. So
yeah, no, for sure. You want to hold. You definitely want to hold as much as possible. Okay, what was the other address you said?
Right down the street, 19310 Pelkey.
Okay, this is also another great way to impact comps in that area when you're just buying in the same neighborhood and the same zip codes. This is a great way to do that. So let's take a look here. I'm going to pull this up for us. 19310.
Again, my apologies for not having the pictures up. Like I said, I just came from another meeting and jumped on this one. So
no, you're perfect. I got it. I'll pull it up right here. Okay, cool. All right. So, okay, now that 19310 Pelkey is actually just showing some land.
No, that is not the case.
Let me see if I can let me see if I can pull something else up here real quick. Okay, so this is on Google. It's let me pull it on Google.
That's what I said.
Redfin. Okay, here we go. I was trying to
Can you see
something we can show pictures. Okay, so I'm just going to show them the outside because there's no pictures on the on Google.
Unfortunately, nothing to hide. Don't have them put up.
All right, let me share my screen. All right, dope. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here is Pelkey, which is right up the street. And again, when you start talking about investing, when you can buy in the same zip code, it's really ideal. Okay, what we got here?
So the only difference, everyone, is the taxes. The taxes for this one are just a couple dollars off from that one. $1,136 are your taxes. So nothing is going to change in our scenario but that part of it. So let's go through it again. Our taxes are $1,136.
All right.
Insurance. Okay. Insurance be the same, around $1,200 a year.
Okay.
Okay. And then our property management fee, as it stands current, will be $960.
Okay.
All right. Add those up.
$32.96.
$32.96 as it stands now. Remember, the rent is the same. The rent is $850.
Okay. Question: is the rental income in this same deal $1,300? Should be $1,300 technically.
That is correct.
Okay. Are these owned by the same seller?
Yes.
Okay, so this is good to know because sometimes you can negotiate when it's the same seller. Hey, I want to take both of them for a nice little package deal. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind there too. So just to review, we are doing cap rates. Cap rate is very important because it's how you're going to be able to measure the growth of your wealth portfolio, right? So basically you buy the house, you look at all the expenses, the property taxes, the property insurance, and the property management. And then we plug these numbers in to see what the cap rate is. This lets you know if it is a good investment. If the cap rate is over 8%, 10%, you definitely looking good. Okay. All right. Bet. Cool. Okay. Let's keep going.
Remember, 96 is 10,200. So let's deduct that number you came up, which was 3296, correct?
Right.
Okay. I got $6,904. Is that what everybody else has? After making those deductions?
Yeah. Are you taking it from the what it should be or what it is?
What it is right now.
Okay, what it is right now. Okay, so then
right now, because I want people to know what it is in real time right now. So
okay.
In doing that, your net, without doing anything, should be $6,904.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's take it and divide it by that asking price, which is $60,000.
Mm-hmm.
And just look to the right of the decimal, 11.5% return as it stands right now.
Nice.
As it stands, that's what you're getting. Now, if you want to see what it would be like if you said, okay, I want to do market rent. Well, if you're going to do market rent, now that gross changes from $10,200 to $15,600.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you're going to have the same expenses. You're going to have your same taxes are still going to be $1,136. Your insurance is still going to be $1,200 annually. Mm-hmm. And your property management, that might change because I forgot to mention that. That might change because now 10% of that. So let's take that in consideration. We didn't do that one on the last one, but we're going to do it now. So now it goes from that number to, let's take $130 times 12. $1,560. So let's change that number from $960 because you were being managed at $850 a month. And they were only taking $80 a month for management. But at 10%, 10% of the amount of $1,560 or $1,300 a month is going to be $1,560. That's your biggest expense between your taxes, your insurance, which to me is something that needs to be valued, because without good property management, you're in trouble.
Absolutely.
An asset could go from something that's cash flowing to a headache real quick.
Exactly.
So I highly recommend. I've seen a lot of people just, it took a turn for the worse.
Mm-hmm.
So now that's going to change that 3296 a little bit, y'all. So now we have the 1136, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the 1200.
Mm-hmm.
So that number changes from 3296 in expenses up to 3896.
Okay.
And here's what we're going to do to be on the safe side. We're at 3896.
Mm-hmm.
Our annual gross is $15,600. Now let's take that new number that we added on because our property management fee went up. So now that changes $15,600 minus our new expenses. Our old expenses were $3,296.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's changed to $3,896.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's subtract that $3,896.
Okay.
What'd you guys come up with?
11,704.
That is correct. And let's make one more modification here.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying 60,000, let's change that to 65,000. You know why? Because this house needed more work. We had to replace something in the basement. We had to get a new hot water tank. The furnace wasn't doing too well. It was on its last leg. We had to repaint it. We had to redo the hardwood floors, whatever have you. So now let's change that, add on another $5,000. So let's say our net, which is 11,704, let's divide that. Instead of saying 60,000, let's add that tenant turnover that we're gonna have to pay and change that price to 65,000.
Still a great deal.
What are you at?
18%.
There it is.
I mean, it's still a great deal.
It's a fantastic deal.
Yeah, that's still a really, really good deal.
And again, I don't want to spoil the community, our audience, but that's not going to happen. As she mentioned, if you are over 10%, 10, 12%, you're doing well. These are rare finds that you can find. You want to hit that number all the time, but that's just not real life. I'm going to just be honest with you guys. So you'll fluctuate in there back and forth, but to show how good of a deal that is, and you added all those what ifs and this could happen and just in case, we did all that. We added $5,000 to that. We went in there and we changed it up. We spruced the property up. It smells good. It looks good. We put a new renter in there paying market rent, which is $1,300 a month right now in the city for a brick bungalow, even a frame bungalow, which I do want to mention too. Don't shy away from frame homes. those sometimes are good bargains because people tend to they look at brick homes and they look better, whatever have you, and they're sexier, so to speak. But frame homes can come in a little bit more affordable, but guess what? The rent is still the same.
Mm-hmm.
They don't deduct, oh, that's a frame home, so now they're only going to pay, Section 8 is only going to pay $1,200 compared to the one across the street who's brick. Doesn't work like that. It's a 3-bedroom, 1 bath or 1.5 bath. They have a federal guide that they go by, and this is what they're going to pay. So I just wanted you guys to keep that in mind. But we went, if I'm not mistaken, we're right around in that with these two properties in that 18 to 20 percentile as far as returns, which are fantastic. Most of your properties, to be honest, right now are going to range in price from 65 to 75. And that could fluctuate your number. Again, I don't want everybody to get spoiled because things are circumstantial, meaning somebody just wants to get out of it. They're going on to bigger projects. They don't want to be a landlord anymore. They're moving out of state. They're retiring, whatever happened. And so people like myself come across situations like this and get those deals at this price. So it fluctuates, more or less. And what I don't want to do is everybody to get a hard line like, that's not 18%. That's not 50%. That house is $72,000. I'm used to $60,000. Well, that's just, it changes. So I just want everybody to keep an open mind. I just took these examples not to put the best foot forward. It's just what happened to hit my inbox with people I deal with over the weekends. Hey, Chris, look, that's what I got. Okay, I'll bring them on live with Jewel. We'll do them all in real time. I didn't have time to go over the numbers myself. I did them right with you guys as we did them all together at the same time. So
yeah, no, that was good. I appreciate it, Chris, because investing in real estate, sometimes people say, I'm about to just jump into it. It's not anything you just want to jump into. You want to make sure that the deal evaluations have happened. You don't want to even just trust your eyes. Like I like to, hey, Chris, check these numbers out. Jewel, check this number out. Hey, Jeremy, check this number out. Star, check this number. We used to get 3 or 4 people looking at the deal a few different ways to determine. And that's really one of the values of being a part of the Acetified community is I'm not looking to just throw you into something. We want to make sure that we've done the numbers, that everybody is in agreement, that this deal looks strong. It is a deal. Just because somebody brings real estate to you does not mean that it's a deal. And so these are the kinds of evaluations that we do. And then we do multifamilies as well. And then, of course, we look at flips too. But again, I'm really wanting you to focus 2025 on holds because this is how your wealth automation is going to get sweet when that rent starts coming in every single month like clockwork. That's how you really grow wealth, not just flipping, but every single month. So eventually the monthly income that you're accustomed to making is happening every single month when you get paid. Okay. All right, Chris, this was really good. I appreciate you coming on here.
I just want to point out one more thing real quick, Joe.
Yeah, please.
Is that when you build a portfolio, you become more attractive to lenders. So if you have more assets, like say by the end of 2025, you maybe have 3 or 4 properties that you're holding, maybe through a flip in there somewhere. But if you have that and you see a project you want to get a hold, I want to get a multifamily. Now they're looking at that. Well, what do you have? Well, these are the assets that I have. They're cash flowing. That changes the whole conversation. It changes the whole conversation versus, you're starting off and you just have, your income, so on and so forth. They look at those as tangible assets that they can use or you can use to leverage out to be able to get more money that they'll lend you. And the more money, more times you do that, you develop relationships. The pockets grow bigger and bigger and bigger that you can reach in and grab money to invest with. So I just wanted to point that out.
No, that's good. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for jumping on here today. I'm going to hang out with them a little bit more. I know you got a busy day and you already know what I'm looking for.
I already know. I got you.
All right. Okay. We'll talk soon. Thanks for
All
jumping
right.
on.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
All right. So I hope that was really helpful. And also, I'm going to be in the city of Detroit doing an Certified meeting on this coming Saturday, March 1st at 10 a.m. Get to Tech Town. It's going to be Tech Town, 10 a.m. March 1st. We're going to have some heavy hitters in the building. That's really going to help you with cultivating and building out your portfolio. You got to start, right? It's like, okay, I've been praying, I've been watching. Don't be afraid. We got you every single step of the way. We'll be here to support you, to help you. But the key is to start. Nothing happens until you start. We know exactly what the lenders are looking for. We've got great relationships with lenders. We got great relationships with underwriters and great relationships with title companies to make sure that the property you're looking at is actually indeed clean, that it doesn't have any tax liens on it or old water bills or old electric bills. We know exactly what's happening in the city and where you should be investing. Or you might even want to invest in your own city, or you might want to invest in another state. Literally what we teach can happen anywhere in the world, okay? We have a $59 a month program where you can get involved with that. And I do 2 Zooms a month where we talk all things real estate. And so you can get on there and join us there. If you want more information, you can also email info@acetifiednow.com, info@acetifiednow.com. We are excited and ready to work with you. Okay. All right. Thanks so much for jumping on here today. I hope this really helped you, to give you some insight and how you should be thinking, and just to give you an idea of some of the things that you're going to be learning when you join the community. Shay, Jerry, thank you so much, all of you all, for jumping on here today. I hope to see you in Detroit Saturday at Tech Town at 10 a.m. Everybody have a great day. Bye-bye.